Just walk around the car, take a look at it. Look for any abnormalities, body rust, things like that. Things that might clue you into maybe that this car has had something of a hard life. Because let's face it, people don't sell their cars because they want to keep them. They either sell them because they want to get something else or they're tired of what they have. And right here is one of the first things that I see. And that is, it looks like this car has been sitting for some time. You can tell when you move these leaves, it hasn't been cleaned up. It's not looking so good. Also, these wiper blades, let's face it, they have seen a better day. So probably a good idea to replace these, or at least consider that when you're purchasing it. Here's another wiper blade that looks about as crusty as they get. Another thing about all these leaves and debris would indicate is that, especially in this area, this is the fresh air inlet for the car. So if you've got a lot of stuff here, this stuff can get down into the HVAC assembly and cause some problems there. Maybe some weird smells, that kind of thing. So another thing you're looking for as you're looking over the body is look for signs that maybe these body seams or what have you don't quite meet up as they might, and run your finger along them. Because what that could indicate is if the car has been in a significant collision. Now, some of you might say, hey Eric, what about a Carfax, that kind of thing? Well, nothing wrong with Carfax, but keep in mind, Carfax only keeps track of things that have been reported. Not every accident gets reported, and some repairs were done outside of, like say, an insurance claim. So be aware of these things. So if you see little areas where the body is not quite meeting right, or you see paint that doesn't necessarily match, or something that's cracked, that could indicate that the vehicle has had body work and been in a significant collision. I can tell you right now, you don't want to purchase a vehicle that's been in a significant collision. So if it's got a salvage title on it, be prepared for some serious expense that may come with that. Now this is just minor damage to me. It's not any kind of structural damage, but it's certainly something that's going to affect the value of the vehicle and something that I'm going to take note of when I negotiate a price. Here's a good tip for you. This car does not have a sunroof. But as far as collisions go, the way to tell like a major collision from a not so major collision is, especially if you have a sunroof, look for buckles in the roof. Look for like little dents around the sunroof area. If you see like little dents there, body shops don't often fix those and can't often fix those. So what you'll see is like right in the area of the sunroof, you'll see like a little dimple right around the corners of the edges. If you see that little dimple, it's likely that that car was in a pretty major collision. Also look at the mirrors, make sure they're intact, make sure everything is there. So a good once over, and you can see that this headlight does not look like this headlight. So given all the cracks in this, I'm gonna say that we should think about this headlight assembly in addition to everything else we've seen so far. Now let's take a look at the inside. And once again, look at these body seams. Feel them with your finger. A lot of times you can feel abnormalities more than you can see them. And particularly in this area, because most collisions occur up front. So keep a close eye out there. And also look for like paint overspray. Like you might see inside a wheel well, like this black part should be black, but if you can see areas where there was like maybe some overspray, particularly in the front with a front bumper, something like that, that could also indicate that there's been some body work that's been done to the vehicle. I'm just gonna come out and say this right now. In my opinion, the most important part of any car is the tires. So if you're purchasing a used car, pay close attention to the tires. And what you're looking for is like any dry rotting, any cracking, any abnormal wear, like say if one side of the tire is worn more than the other, or the middle of the tire is worn more. All these could indicate that the vehicle was either not properly maintained or there could be some issues. Tires are extremely important. And another thing to note is like on this car that has aluminum wheels, anytime you see a car with aluminum wheels, and if it's got new tires on it, it's quite possible that they're gonna leak, and they're gonna continue to leak. And the reason for that is because many times when new tires get installed on these old aluminum wheels, they don't clean the corrosion around the inside of the rim, so the tire can never properly seal against the rim. In addition, some of these old steel
caps or old steel Schrader valve assemblies like this, they can also leak. So that could be something else that could throw up some red flags. But look for good quality tires. If they look like really cheapo tires,
I can't stress enough how good tires will change everything about a car. But these tires actually look like they're in fairly decent shape. Now this tire shows a little bit of a different wear pattern on the outside. But you want to run your hand over it too, because if your hand catches on things that are sticking up, that could indicate an alignment issue also. So don't just look at the tire for any damage, also run your hand over it. If you do begin to see abnormal wear patterns on the tire, that could be an indication that there's some sort of suspension issue or something like that that's happening that you might need to address should you purchase the vehicle. And here's the thing, you're doing all these inspections before you buy the car. You don't do these things after, you do them before.
Okay, one thing I want to talk about with tires real quick is, at the very least, make sure that the tires that are on the same axle, meaning that, are either on the front or on the back, are of the same type and brand. Try to avoid situations where there might be one oddball tire, like they had a blowout or something and all they got was the one tire. If a tire is of a different type and a different brand, it has a different characteristic than the rest of the tires. So this may create a situation down the road where the vehicle pulls to one side, and the only way to fix it is to basically get another tire that matches. However, you've already got one worn tire on the car. So, be aware of that. Like you could find yourself in a situation where you either have to buy two tires to try to correct a problem. So if you see an oddball tire on any of the axles, so like I said, you can have the same on the fronts and same on the backs, and also make sure they're all the same size. You can look on the outside of the tire and it will tell you what the tire size is on this one, and make sure they're all the same size. Some vehicles have a different size tire for the front than for the back. That's not very common, but and it's usually on sports cars or something that you find that, but most vehicles have the same size tire on all four wheels. I mean, even if it's off by one number, like say if this was a 65 instead of a 70, that would be a different tire, and it would have different characteristics than the rest. And in some cases, if it's enough of a difference, it could actually turn the ABS light on. Now this is one I've almost gotten into fist fights over, and that is wheel locks. If the vehicle does have wheel locks on it, make sure you have a stinking key. I actually made a video about, if you don't have a wheel lock, how to get it off. Oftentimes people buy a used car and they don't realize that it has wheel locks, and they go to rotate the tires or go to get the brakes done for the first time. They don't know where the key is. Then there's the added expense of having to remove a wheel lock without a key. So if you have wheel locks on the vehicle that you're looking to purchase, definitely make sure that you've got a key for it.
Here's another tip. Open every door. If it's got power locks, work them. Make sure that they work on all of the doors, not just on the one that you're looking at. Make sure they work on all the doors. But open the door, close the door, see if it closes well, and do it to every single one. I mean, really give it a once over, really give it the acid test, as they say. And if a door doesn't close properly, that could indicate, once again, that there could have been some body work or some significant damage at one point in its life. This one opens nice and easy, closes good. Same with this one. You also want to try the inner door handles to make sure they work. This one won't open. This right here could be an indication of a problem because everything's unlocked, yet I'm unable to just open it. I can't open this back gate. This is the reason why you want to do this now, instead of finding out later. There we go. Some fixes are easy, some not so much. Now that we've got that open, let's look at some of the things I wanted to check out all along.
And that is for your tools, if there is any. I think this is just maybe like a cubby. There might have been tools in there at one time.
All right, let's check over here. And yes, we do have a jack. We have a tire iron also. It's not in there properly, but it's there. I don't see the part that works the jack. There's another part that's not in this bag that's not there, so that set is incomplete. Let's see what we got where the spare tire is. Now that we know we've got a jack and a lug wrench, we need to make sure that we have the spare tire. And it looks like in this model it comes with, here it is. This is our hook that works the jack. I did a video on this, so you can check that out. But we need to make sure that we also have this, because that's going to make working the jack very difficult without it. And also, got a set of jumper cables. Sweet. Also, we want to check the spare tire to make sure it's there. It's there, it looks loose, which this could cause a noise or a rattle while we're driving down the road sometimes over really bumpy roads. But we got a spare. Now, I'm not saying you have to pull the spare tire out, but take a look at the spare tire as well. I mean, if this thing is worn out, like somebody drove on this for months and months at a time, it could indicate something that we're going to refer to as far as pride of ownership. And that's kind of what you're looking for. You're looking to see if the vehicle was taken care of, if they really cared about it. If this is bald, I suspect that maybe they're in economic duress or whatever, and they drove around on this instead of buying a new tire for some time. You know, and that would give a fairly clear indication of what the rest of the vehicle might, you know, be like. So look at the spare tire. Most likely, it's not going to be inflated to the proper pressure, so after you buy it, you might want to make sure that you inflate this to the proper pressure. Usually these are printed on the outside somewhere. This one says 60 psi. Make sure you got a spare tire and the tools to change it.
And as long as we're back here and we're on the subject of spare tires, just, if you can, take the tire out and just look in the well. And what you're looking for is signs that maybe there was water in here, or there might be water in here already. This could indicate a leak either in the trunk area, or in this case the hatch. If there's water leaks in the vehicle, it's always a problem, and they're oftentimes very difficult to diagnose and track down. So you'd want to be aware that if you have a water leak in the back, which could be creating, you know, mold, mildew, some kind of smell, you want to know that now before you make your purchase. Another place to look for water leaks is on the floor. Like, feel the floor, feel if it's wet. Obviously, if it's been raining or something, you know, and people put their feet down here, that could be the cause of that. Or it could be that either something is leaking in the vehicle, there could be a water leak, or it could be that the HVAC system has an issue. I did a video on that. If it sounds like you've got like water up in the dash when you drive it, that could mean that the AC drain is clogged, or there's some issue with drainage of the HVAC system. Definitely keep an eye out for water leaks.
Now this is interesting, and I found this in this tray that was above the spare tire. Sometimes former owners will keep meticulous records of what they've done, and this says the timing belt was done at 105,000 miles. Next one's due at 160. You know, it looks like they kept very detailed records and all the receipts for all the work that was done to this vehicle. So it looks to me like this vehicle's entire service history is right here. Now this does indicate pride of ownership and the fact that they were thinking about, you know, possibly selling this car at one point in time. So yeah, this is definitely a plus. And if you find all of this service history, it means they were taking care of it. So this is a score. Now that we've got this hatch open, you can see that once again, it looks like this has been sitting under a tree for a while, which is not good. That stuff just, anytime a vehicle sits, it's the worst possible thing for it. All the seals and everything tend to dry rot. The worst thing you can do to a car is let it sit. So if you've got one that looks like it's been in a collision, looks like it's been in a flood, or looks like it's sat for a significant amount of time, these are things that I would try to avoid. As long as we're at it, let's see what we can do to open the fuel door. Now, some vehicles may do this electronically, some vehicles will do this mechanically. Looks like my little fuel door puller thing is broken off. Yeah, we'll have to maybe fix that. Pull up on that. Okay, and once you come around to open it, make sure you have a gas cap. And if it's a stock gas cap, all the better. If this is a non-stock gas cap, it could cause a problem. I know this is a stock gas cap because it says Subaru right on it, but sometimes non-stock caps can cause check engine lights. So I want to make sure it's on there, make sure it's on there tight. Also, more indications that it looks like this thing's been sitting under a tree for a long time.